And as predictable as this stream is late, Leicester City have lost. Again, a couple of minutes late. Leicester City 2. Sorry, Leicester, I wish. Bournemouth 2, Leicester 1. Threw it away. Back to where we were. Get a square one again. Go on, Ant and Alex with us. And give us your thoughts, mate. Predictable, right?
So predictable. And I'll tell you what's the frustrating thing. We were so good for about the opening half an hour of that game. But how many times we said this under Brendan Rodgers? For periods of the game, we are brilliant. But it's the negative tactics of sitting deep and just letting the opposition attack and just trying to hold on to a lead. You cannot do that from the 40th minute onwards in the Premier League and expect teams not to create chances. And Bournemouth, by the way, fully deserve their 3 points, but we gift wrapped that to them today, absolutely gift wrapped. And you'd think after like the first, second, third, maybe even fourth time that Brendan Rodgers has tried this, of fourth's being generous as well. We could probably say fourth this season. We're genuinely at the point where you're looking at like every time we take a lead, but we sit back and just invite the pressure, invite the pressure, and invite the pressure. And as glad as I was going 1-0 up, the fact that I didn't celebrate us going up 1-0 up massively because I knew what was coming says it all. It just like is so predictable, and that's the most frustrating thing. It's like if we're going to lose games, make teams work for them. And we mentioned this before we started recording, so I'm going to go off on a bit of a rant here.
Go
But
for it.
That Forest game was the anomaly. Like people saying, have we turned a corner? Is it a new leaf? No, they are just absolute championship level with 23 strangers who met 2 weeks ago. They are not a Premier League level team. That is why we did what we did to them. Any team that has got half a bit of unity and has got any understanding of each other and played with each other for any period of time will beat us. And like people will say that I'm being extreme. We are 8 games into the season, so now we've beaten one team, which is 22 bunch of strangers.
Yeah, and I think as well, I think I was looking at statistics. It was 15 goals scored, 24 conceded. I think that's more than anybody else in the Premier League. But I think nobody else on the 20. I'll try and find that. I think it was on SofaScore. I'll try and find that. But Alex, I mean, it is predictable on this one as well. To be honest, I totally agree with what Ant's saying, and it's just the same issues happen again and again. And where do we start? Because it's like, again, we shouldn't. Again, I don't think it's too much to ask for to go to Bournemouth and be competent. Yes, we've not won there I don't think it's in the history of the Premier League, but go there. And what was really surprising as well is that even Bournemouth, after the second goal, they were like, right, shut up shop now. We've got this game. They were going for 3, 4, 5. They were right. We're going to go until the final whistle blows. We're going to go and create chances and challenge Danny Ward. We can't say that for Leicester City.
It's the same thing, different. It's the same issue for a different match. And said it perfectly last week. On Monday against Forest was just a completely different scenario because Forest is, like as he said, a championship level club. To be brutally honest, the way that Leicester are performing, they're a championship level club. You have clubs like Bournemouth coming in being like, you know what? As soon as we tie this game up, we're going to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
We are playing bottom tier clubs,
championship level clubs, championship level.
Can we be like, let's be honest here. We're getting destroyed by clubs like Bournemouth. I cannot wait for when we face off against Man City because they're going to just absolutely tear strips off of us. And it's going to be like, well, we saw this coming. It's nothing to be concerned about. Like it's going to happen. But the thing about this is we know exactly what the issue is. Mm-hmm. Every single fan can address this issue with their eyes closed and say, this is the issue. I can point directly to it because it's been staring at us in the face like a cyst for the past 2 years. And let's be brutally honest, it's Brendan Rodgers. His tactics have fallen flat. His formations are brutal. He simply just does not know how to make proper substitutions, and his tactics are absolute shambles. You can't park the bus for 50 bloody minutes, and that's the thing, and time and time again we've discussed this. I feel like 100,000 million times at this rate. He's going to still be here tomorrow. And that's the issue. We can't, if we're not willing to admit, if the club's not willing to address the issue, the same thing's going to happen. And it's beating a dead horse. It really is. We have the skill. We've seen the skill on this club. But when you have Rodgers continuing to do what he's doing and have the support from the club, that's it. We're going to still have these types of games. This game should have been a win. You know, that's the thing. And we should have had multiple wins already this season, but we're here almost middle of October with a single win. You know, I got nothing else. I don't have much else to say in this situation because, like I said, it's beating a dead horse. You got to get rid of Rodgers. It's not going to happen. So we're going to have to deal with the same malarkey every single week in and out.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's just similar thing again and again. Noah's in the chat, and just over to you. Why are teams out fighting Leicester every single week? Again, take away the Forest result. I know that I'm glad out of all the games we won, at least it's the one against Forest, because that would have gone horribly wrong. However, why are teams just out fighting us every game?
The thing is, I think that it's more than being out for, if I'm completely honest, because you look at the periods of a game where we were pressing really high up the pitch, we were having a go, and we were playing very well. There was a lot of fighting, like a lot of battle there. I honestly think the players are getting fed up of being told to sit back and hold on to leads. Because what's the expression? I think you said it once, Alex. It was, what's the definition of insanity? Keep doing the same thing time and time again and expecting different results. I honestly feel like the players are just fed up of having to try the same tactics that haven't worked. And can we just say these are the same tactics that James Maddison called out over about 5-6 months ago when we conceded a late was it equaliser or late winner against West Ham? When it was
2-2. Yeah,
2-2 that game. Those tactics were called out on that game. Here we are. I don't know how long ago that was. Feels a long time ago, but here we are. It was there or thereabouts, wasn't it? Around that point, and at that point, it felt like that this had been going on for a long time. Here we are now. Second week of October? Second week of October. I don't even know what the date is, but same thing, and it's just like it's on steroids now. The fact that this is happening every single week, and people will say fight, and there are some individual performances that were absolutely disgraceful today, but I honestly feel like these players are getting fed up of being told just to sit back and defend, because you see the difference of intensity when we were really getting on the front foot in the first half, really having to go, winning the ball high up the pitch and being quick in transition, compared to everyone behind the ball, get your body in front of the shot and try and pick them off on the counter. It's like that's the way I see it anyway.
It just doesn't make any sense, Alex, in terms of there's certain players again that were turning up, but as a collective, it's just not there. And again, his substitutions did not make sense. We look at the timings of them as well. So 60, when was it? Just before the first goal goes in, Daka for Vardy, understand that, makes sense. Jamie Vardy's got fresh legs, give him 30 minutes on the pitch, no problem whatsoever. Amati for Castagna, I went that one made no sense to me. I know he was playing in an attacking way, but Amati's been dreadful all season. I like Amati, but he's been dreadful all season. It made no sense, and it's not a position that we really need to secure.
You are exchanging Castagna, who is a starting player for a World Cup team, for someone who plays in the Championship, who's, in my opinion, is a Championship League player. And that is the Rodgers logic.
Centre back. He's not even a right back.
And that's the thing. He's out of position, and Rodgers just throws him in. That's how dense Rodgers is. Like I'm at the point where I'm pretty sure that if he shat his pants and said that it was like the word of God, he would believe his own words. Like he'd be like, "This is what God's telling me to do," and I did it because of it. Like, this is the insanity of Brendan Rodgers right now. And I don't know what to say. Like, I feel like I've repeated this since probably last September. It's just insane. Like, and we've seen these poor substitution decisions time in and time out.
Mm.
And it's like, okay, oh, he did it again. Oh, he's done it again.
Mm.
Oh, and it just, the thing is that you have players that aren't even making the squad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, tell me how. I know everyone's kind of like, well, Soyuncu, he's not good. Well, how can he be the captain of Turkey here and there, but he can't even get a game at Leicester? Vestergaard, you spend an absorbent amount of money for him, and you don't even see him. Like, I'm at the point where like you just got to do whatever you can. Like,
well, are we doing whatever we can?
I don't think so. I don't think Rodgers is willing to even. He's so stuck in his own way of being like, this is how it's done. I'm not willing to change it. You can't change it. I'm not going to get sacked, so it doesn't matter what happens. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Meanwhile, I think anybody else, any other manager who would come in, be like, let's give this guy a try. Let's give this guy a try. You don't know what's going to happen. Something might stick if we give someone an opportunity. Like, Danny Ward, in my opinion, I backed him and I was really excited for him to start. He's not capable, and his morale is gone. So play Iverson. But now there's been reports that we're going for a new keeper in January. So what does that mean about Iverson? Are you just going to let Iverson go? Because no one's going to go for Danny Ward. Like, no offense. And from what I've read about this new keeper that we've been keeping tabs on, is he might be an improvement for Ward, but he's not the be all to end all. So it really, this entire dynamic of how Rodgers and the club are operating is putting duct tape on a gunshot wound. Like, if we continue to do this, we're gonna get relegated, and I'm fully committed to saying that. And if we survive and we finish 15th, I'll be like, we're very lucky. But if Brendan Rodgers is still in charge and continues to be in charge, there's no way that we're going to survive this season. Absolutely not.
It's not, because again, even people, again, we've brought up journalists in the past. Rob, we've had him on the show before. We had him multiple times. Very obviously, he wants to keep a good relationship with the club, and he wants to make sure that he wants to be a balanced journalist. This here himself, again, this is him coming out. I'm back again. Not even like I'm concerned. He's baffled again. And he mentioned on Thursday, he said his old team returning back to where we were. So we all believe the hype a little bit. Now we're back to where we were. And the amount of people that are coming out and saying the same thing. And we've been there. We've been there so many times, and I just don't see. I don't see where we go from here. It's just continuing the same old. It makes no sense.
It doesn't. And the thing is, the longer it goes on, the longer we are delaying the inevitable. I feel like with Rob, I've got a lot of time for Rob, but as you say, he's very, very balanced, and I think he was very pro Brendan Rodgers. When you're getting people like that who are starting to turn as well and starting to really see it, the writing's been on the wall.
Starting to turn. I'm sorry, that's beyond starting to. That was like, no, I'm baffled. He would not, Rob. We know Rob. He would not tweet out something like that unless everything has gone wrong. He would go concerning from Brendan or something like that, something relatively, or it may not be the best performance of the season or something like that. I am baffled. I think, sorry to interrupt, but that's a big statement from a top man in Leicester.
Yeah. To be fair, you are right, and it's more people like that you see that are turning. And it's like, it seems like everyone apart from a man making the decision can see it, and it's like, what worries me, and I love Top, and I love what he's done to the club, and I love obviously what he's built at Leicester, like him and obviously Vichai. But what I'm concerned about, he's been to one home game this season. He's been to Forest. That was absolutely electric, and the fans were right behind Rodgers from the first minute to the last minute. But that wasn't
more for Forest than for Rodgers.
That's exactly what I was going to say. But that's because of who we were playing and what happened last year. Because of Rodgers, by the way, may I add, at Nottingham. But that's my concern, that he might see that and still think that actually the fans are still really behind him. Like, in reality, when I've been to pretty much every away game this year apart from Bournemouth. The amount of like toxicity and negativity in the away ends of like singing sacked in the morning, we want Rodgers out, the banners coming out. It's at the point where I don't want to say it, I really don't, but I feel like the longer that we hold on, you almost start to look at the board. But it's such a difficult situation because our board is incredible and what they've done is incredible. But by keeping Rodgers at this stage, you are holding us at the bottom of the league.
It's just a tumor that keeps getting bigger, and without addressing, I think Alex was saying with the cyst terminology, where that you have to address the issue, and if you just pretend like it's not there, it's just going to get bigger. And the more, again, as it bigger it gets, the more people think, "Oh, what the hell's happening there?" And it's not like before where we were experiencing these issues. However, the teams below us were also losing, so we kind of like stayed in this middle point. Now the teams above us, now we haven't got that advantage of we started off quite well and now we're dropping down the table. We've just been terrible all season, and the other teams haven't even been that great. Wolves have not been that great. Again, Sweet and Sour Soccer, make sure to check out them because they're telling everything about Wolves at the moment, and they've just sacked their manager in the situation there. You're looking at, let's have a look at Aston Villa, been woeful all season on 8. Let me bring up the table. I'm just bringing up the table just to show you where we are in the competition around us. Even this season, Brentford just got pammed 5-1 today. Everton have not been good, really. Leeds, not really that great. West Ham, terrible start. Southampton, Crystal Palace, again, a good team, not playing very well. Aston Villa, do you see what I mean? This is the caliber of teams that we're with, and all of their managers have either sacked their manager or on the premise of basically sacking their manager. And we're probably the third, well, us and Forest are the furthest away from that.
Yeah. I will say this. Our record is 1-1-7. Any other manager in any league, if that was your record in the first 9 games of the season, you would not have a job. You'd be gone.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know Ant has stated that, he's starting to kind of look at the board and the ownership being like, you need to start taking the blame. I think we've passed that point. I think we need to start looking at the board and the ownership and be like, why? Mm-hmm. What are you seeing that everybody else isn't? Because there has to be something. There really has to be. Because if you go onto Twitter, it's not hard to find what the hell. We want Rodgers out. Mm-hmm. I think it's even harder to find. No, I think Rodgers is fine. Rodgers is the guy. And usually those people are just trolls from different clubs being like, stay, keep him. This is fantastic because as long as you keep him, the farther down you'll go. And there's not much further down that we can go. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we're at. You look at the table, you look at who has been replaced, and you go, okay, it was time a lot longer ago. Mm-hmm. The amount of points that we've dropped in the last 2 seasons from leading a game and then losing the game or drawing is staggering. I don't know the actual number, but I believe we're top of the league in that. And it's just, it really, I don't know what to do anymore in this sense. Cause I feel, like I said, we were talking, it's a continual discussion of the same thing. These are the issues. Oh, they're the same issues from last week. We need to fix this. It still hasn't been addressed. We were doing a little bit better in this. Next week, we're doing much worse in that. And it's, why were the substitutions poor? Why were the tactics wrong? Why was the formation all over the place? There's only one person that makes all those decisions. It's Brendan Rodgers. And we're back at this again. I just don't know how the club can keep looking at him being like, no, he's going to lead us to the promised land. Unless the promised land is the championship and it's just a desert, then like we're going the right direction. But like that's where we're heading. And if Top is really looking at this being like, I can't judge Rodgers due to the payment that we would have to give him in order to sack him. In my mind, I go, well, if we get relegated to the championship, we're going to lose more money. So this is the situation we're in. Do we sack Rodgers now and we pay him out with the opportunity to possibly survive this year? Or do we just go, we're going to hold on to Brendan Rodgers because we can't afford to sack him But if we do get relegated, we're screwed. Like that's
And
where we're at.
And look at the teams like Burnley this season that have had what? Tarkowski, Ben Mee's left, Nick Pope's left, Dwight McNeil's left. What's his face? The guy who went to West Ham, Cornet, we were linked with, he's left. There's been quite a few, and they have a few. Our players will just disappear. And because a lot of them will go, James Maddison's been talked about. James Justin will get picked up quite easily. Ricardo Pereira will get picked up easily. Timothy Castagna, Johnny Evans, that somebody will pick him up. Walt Fass, if he keeps playing like this, again, a couple of mistakes with the goals, but people will pick him up. There's so many players that will not want to stay. Keenan Dewsbury Hall, why would he go, now I want to play in the Championship? No, we have to genuinely think. And if their plan is to get us over until mid-November and then reset, we're going to be in a hole. We're genuinely going to be in such a hole that we'll have to have another great escape just to try and get out of it.
It's the ruthlessness, and I hate to say it, the ruthlessness has gone. I'm sorry, Brendan Rodgers, if before you would think he would have been sacked. I would have thought by last time we lost to Forest 4-1 outside away to them. I thought then that's when he should have gone. The fact it's and I know that was earlier than a lot of people. The fact it's dragged on to this point, and it's like, I genuinely don't see why we are keeping him. I would understand if you could see what he's trying to do and it's just not working, but
yeah,
you can see what he's trying to do, and there is no possible way that it's going to work because we've been trying the same fucking thing for 18 months, and every time it doesn't work. It's like the only times it has worked is in the Conference League against teams that haven't already figured us out.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
yep, and even then, like a second string Napoli side beat us. Legia Warsaw didn't beat us, but we're looking at. I'm trying to think. Even this season, who do we play in the cup? Non-league team?
Stockport County. They just that was easy enough for them. They just got everyone behind the ball, and we couldn't break them down.
Yep, and we get everybody up behind the ball, and we still concede corners. I know we didn't get this game, but
let's just when it comes to Stockport, let's just think about this. They were in the fifth. Yeah, they were in the National League last year, and it took us to penalties to beat them. We didn't just in those types of matches, we should be walking out with a 4-0 victory. No sweat, being we knew we were coming into this with a win. The fact that everybody was sitting around, I remember that match, I was sitting at the bottom of my stairs with my phone listening to the radio, being we could actually lose. We could actually lose to a League Two side who was in the National League last year. And I'm sitting here going, if this isn't a sign to the club that we have more issues than you could imagine, this should be it. And
the
then
team
we won.
Was worth at least 100 million.
But then we won, and people were like, "Oh yeah, we won," and I'm like, "We were lucky to win. This is not a celebration." And it's and even the match against Forest last week, sure, we won. Was it great? Yeah, because we got our first win, and it's a rivalry, and it's all that. But at the end of the day, if we lost that, anarchy, absolute anarchy.
Yeah. The thing is, what you just said there, Alex, is so true. Is you said about the Stockport game, and I mentioned it earlier. It's any team that's got a bit of that has been together with any extended period of time will be able to beat us because we are so predictable. And it's I feel like I'm a broken record, and I've said this already. It's when we attack teams, we cause them problems. And I've said it for the longest time, particularly with our defensive frailties. The best form of defense is attack, to get after teams and really have a go at them. And sitting back for the last couple of minutes in the game and digging deep is fine, but you can't do it from the 40th minute onwards, particularly with how poor our defensive structure is. And this goes back to, I think, Brendan Rodgers being a disciple of Jose Mourinho's from his coaching strategies. Apart from Brendan Rodgers doesn't have the defensive abilities as a manager that Jose Mourinho has. Because Jose Mourinho, you go 1-0 up and 9 times out of 10, you shut up shop. We don't have the ability to do that. I feel like we've got all the negatives of Jose Mourinho and Brendan Rodgers, but we've managed to somehow avoid all the positives of him.
Yeah. And even worked with Roma in the away. It was literally they shut up shop and we went right. We're just going to kind of play the same way. We let them have that, and that I remember how pissed off at the time because I was thinking that could have been our trophy. And I know that sounds arrogant from the outside, but that Conference League should have probably been ours if we would have had just I remember Lookman came on and tried something. We were so close. I mean, just get away some of the comments again. Some comments. Some comments just to kind of break it up a little bit. But Jeff's in the comments. So Fox Report, make sure to check him out again. He was on the preview, so make sure his channel and everything's over there. Literally, again, in 17th place is our Champions League dream now. And I hate to disagree, but it kind of feels like that as well. We've got fans from Korea. Awesome. But yeah, I think again, don't know how to say our lovely team dropped 27 points from the top. I think now it's up to 30. Now that was we've just took it up to 30 as well for 2022. 30 points dropped from winning positions in 2022. I'd like to say Amate is really I'd like to say Amate real game changer. I think in a negative way, 100%. That definitely changed the game and put it back on its head. It's just a lot of these comments. I'm trying to get to as many as possible, but they are saying the same thing, and we've just fed up of saying the same thing again and again. I think what I'm going to do, Anne, I'm going to hand over to you in terms of some of the stats again, if you can explain that as well. Great stats. I'll bring up for you. You recommended from Twitter, so I thought I'd bring that up and let you explain as well.
Yeah, so we are the yellow line, and you can see like for large period of the game, the top one, mate. But we were in control for large periods of the game. But as soon as Bournemouth got the equaliser, then we created nothing, and it was all Bournemouth. And it's like you can see where we stopped creating in that game. If we're completely honest, it was around 30.
So around there, we both had it down like 30 to 40 minutes.
And it's like it's just it's what we were saying before. I mean, these stats back up what we were saying, but like we go 1-0 up, we are in cruise control, and we are battering teams, and then for some reason we sit back and invite the pressure.
Yeah, for no reason. And again, another XG where I'm not a big fan of XG, but it does tell you the fact that I think this season we've not had anything above 2, even though we scored 2 goals. So we should have probably scored even less. So again, that works to a certain extent, but defensively, that we've been all over the shop as well. And just again, some of the formations we were playing in terms of again taking Castagna off, Alex, this made no sense. Trying to secure it just didn't work. And you can see they concentrate on this right side and they exposed us so many times. And if you're going to take a player off, you're going to, in my opinion, again, I like Harvey Barnes, but take him off and get another player on that right side, play 3 at the back, and then secure it up a little bit more. How it just made no sense, in my opinion. And again, look at the average positions. It just Harvey Barnes was on his own. Samore had, I think, a decent game overall, but again, he was overrun at times. He was overrun. Patson Daka did what he could. James Maddison, look how deep James Maddison is dropping on the halfway line, considering he is a player that's creating everything. I'm just fed up of talking about it, really.
It's square pegs and round holes. It's literally like it's just this. It's the Brendan Rodgers logic. It's simply what it is, and like I feel I just can't even talk about it anymore because it's the same thing. Like we come on here every match and we dissect it, and it's like, well, we don't really need to dissect it because we literally have the same report from last week. And it's like, it's like nothing's gonna change. Nothing will change. In order for us to change, you need to change the person that makes the decisions, and the person that makes the decisions is Brendan Rodgers. And ultimately, like, that's the thing. Brendan Rodgers comes back to every single question that can be asked. Why didn't the formation work? Brendan Rodgers. Tactics, Brendan Rodgers. Why do we park the bus in the 30th minute? Brendan Rodgers. Like,
why can we play one half of football? Brendan Rodgers.
Like, it's the same thing. Why do we only have 4 points? Well, poor execution, poor substitutions, poor man management, formations, you name it. Like, and everything goes back to Brendan Rodgers. Like, And the thing is that I'm going to listen to the post match with Brendan Rodgers and hear what he has to say, and I'm going to immediately listen to it and be like, "You're full of it."
Mm.
Like, you're talking, and you're like, who does he have left to blame? He's blamed the board. He's blamed the club. He's blamed the players. He's blamed the fans. What is he going to do? Blame? Is he going to pull a Klopp and be like, "Well, the grass was wet."
Mm.
This is where we're at. We're at the point where it's like, was the air too stale? Were the kits just not properly washed? Were the boots just not good enough? Was the ball deflated? Was the sun in your eyes? It's the sun's fault today because it blinded Brendan Rodgers. This is where we're at. The excuses, there are none. And you can't really fish out any positives. You can be like, well, Daka got a goal. Well, that's great.
Yeah, 2-2 for Daka. But I think he played decently for parts of the game, but
yeah.
But I'm glad he's got some confidence because everything else is on the floor. Samori did okay, I think. Samori did well, and I think he got dragged a little early, but he looked overrun at times, especially towards that 60 minutes.
I think Samore got himself he played well today, but he got himself a silly yellow card for their free kick. And when you're playing as a lone six, to get yourself a yellow card for that is a very naive thing to do. But overall, I think he was very good today. Daka, whilst we were attacking for that first 30, 40 minutes was brilliant. But how many times have we said it for Vardy? Once we sit back and we stop playing football and we just come there to shut up shop, then you're cutting out all of these players from a game. It's like, we must have said this so many times, but it is so true. The problem isn't with Brendan Rodgers is for defensive football. It's the fact he's not getting the best out of what he's got. And what we've got is an incredibly talented attacking group of players. Yet he still persists with playing this negative rubbish.
Yeah, he really does. And the worst thing is, I've just looked at my thumbnail that I normally put afterwards. So if you're watching it afterwards, you'll see the thumbnail. I've put 2-1. Genuinely put 2-1 to Bournemouth because I coming into the game, I was like, I don't want us to lose, but I've just got a feeling that it's not going to happen. And we just started so bright and we finished, and we've just seen. So I'm just trying to find some more resources. I'm trying to find some more of the comments about Brendan Rodgers. I almost don't want to read them because it's just same thing again and again. And I don't know what's gonna happen. It's gonna happen because we're just going into the ground. And what it is, at least, Alex, is that there's nobody else in our way to stop us like there was last season. We were seeing these issues last season, but other teams were losing. We're really it's not we were once and then we kind of had a bounce up. Like Man United have managed to sort themselves out, gone up the table. Arsenal last season had 3 matches of terribleness, gone up the table. We're 8 matches in, and we're still down there now. It's not like, Leicester will get better. It's like, we're still there. No, we're still there. Really? We're still, and it's game after game. And it could be easily fixed, and that's what's stupid.
And you said it perfectly. Last season, because of where we were in the table, it was if we had a bad game, it wasn't the end of the world because there's a couple clubs below us that had even worse matches and they lost. And so it didn't have the same outcome as this is. We're at the bottom of the table. If we're not winning, we're in a terrible position. If a bunch of the clubs ahead of us start winning games or drawing matches, all of a sudden it starts going more and more and more and more. And, come World Cup time, which is about a month away, we're still going to be in the same. In my opinion, we're either going to be 19th or 20th. I don't think we're going to go any higher. I really don't. And then this just opens up a whole new conversation for the January transfer window. Do you think Madison is going to be like, I want to stay here? We are bottom of the league, and I'm not going to get into the England squad, regardless if Southgate's there or not.
Yeah.
But he's probably going, I want to change the scenery. I want to actually play on a team that actually wants to try. That's probably going to be the same with James Justin. That could be the same with Ricardo Pereira if he actually gets better. I think that you're going to see that possibly with Barnes. Tielemans as good as gone. Why would you re-sign a contract here right now, especially how we're playing?
At least he's trying, though.
Yeah.
I'll give Tielemans his credit. At least he's trying in the games, and fair enough. If you're going to leave in a free in the summer, sure, and I understand that, but at least you're giving it something.
Just looking at the comment, Fox to Fox reports that said Brendan said Castagna picked up an injury. So, if that's the case, who the heck is going to play? Like, are we going to have a Thomas Justin? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're kind of going back to the issues of last year, where we're picking up more injuries. That's another issue. Oh, we're picking up injuries. Well, okay, well, we replace them with this player. No, we can't. Why? Well, they're also injured, or they're just not good enough, or we actually don't have anyone to replace that. We're gonna it's the same thing. It's the same issue, and things are going from worse to even further, or even more worse. And I don't know what you would even call that, because we're kind of at the point, and the fact that the season's only 9 games in, where I think if you haven't clicked the panic button, I think you're a hopeful optimist, because we're in a reality where we are in panic mode.
Yeah.
I think the fan base sees it. I think the players know about it. I think there's people on the board that see it, that want to action it.
Apparently, we've heard the board do want Rodgers gone.
So
it's top that's blocking this,
and that's the issue. So if there's all these red flags, it's just something needs to be triggered, because we can't keep playing like this. Like, if you think that this is bad now, if Rodgers is still here come the World Cup break, and he survives the World Cup break, I think we're seeing something on the level of pure anarchy. Because I'm in these situations, I'm glad I live in Canada, because I feel like the toxicness of home games is going to be so severe that I don't even want to think of what it could actually what could actually happen, because if it's already toxic as it is, and it's only going to get worse.
It is. And that's the thing. Again, we'll bring up some of the comments that Brendan Rodgers has made. Again, he's made just one of them recently on BBC Radio Leicester. We can't build any momentum in games because we keep giving the ball away.
Yes, that's because you get everyone behind the ball, you bloody idiot. I had to bite my tongue, man. But it's like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
If you have 11 players sitting in your own box, how are you expecting them to keep the ball? Like that. Yeah. Yes, there was moments when we were going forward that the player wasn't great, but when you're sitting so deep, like we were, you're not going to be able to string passes together. It's always going to be a challenge to break through that, to keep the ball. It's like moaning that you keep needing to go to the toilet after drinking four bottles of water. It's like you're doing it to yourself, and then you're moaning about it.
Well, it's like I ate 3 cartons of raw cookie dough, and now I have a stomach ache.
Yeah,
I don't know why why this keeps happening, and you're like, well,
cookie dough does do that to you eventually,
yeah.
and that's how he's explaining it.
It's like, well, if you don't have the ball and you keep giving the ball away, you can't gain momentum.
And it's not working. Again, shout out to Josh. Josh's in the comments again. Sorry to cover up Alex. I'll move this over actually. Yeah, there's no way of turning it around. The Forest one was only one way to trigger turnaround. He simply has to go immediately again. Make sure to check out Josh's channel, Sports on YouTube as well. Great channel as well. So thanks for jumping in the chat, mate. And thanks to everybody for leaving all the comments. Again, I'll try to get to as many of them as possible. But yeah, I totally agree. Again, he's run out of an excuse. He's trying to blame the players, blame the ball. Now he's I think he's blaming everybody. Oh, we're not keeping the ball well enough. Well, yes, but you are the guy in charge. Like, what? Why is this still an issue?
Well, if you want to keep the ball better, maybe play one of the best technical players that we've got at the club in Dennis Pratt instead of freezing him out.
Yeah. Got another comment as well. Again, so just a couple of just again coming out live. Rodgers situation at the moment, lost momentum against Forest. I think we're just disappointed. The encouragement we feel after, but we just have to manage the situation better.
Can I just add a stat that sort of goes along with that?
Yeah,
is the fact we've dropped 14 points from winning positions this season.
14.
This season.
We'd have 18 points.
14 points from winning positions. It's October, for God's sake. Like,
and 30 in 2022. 30.
The fact, but people will say he's unlucky and all of that. It's like, no, it's not unlucky when it keeps happening week after week after week.
Remember that quote about the insanity?
Yeah.
It just continues to reinforce. Just continues to reinforce.
Another thing as well, he mentions Rodgers confirms that Castagne was due to injury. So a nasty blow to the eye socket in the first half. It's swollen quite a bit. We needed an extra bit of physical presence, so we brought on Daniel Amate, which lost us the game.
First half. It happened in the first half. You're telling me that the doctors during the halftime were looking at his eye and was like, no, he can keep playing. And then when was the Amate sub? You know what I mean? So we're saying that Castagne went 40 minutes possibly since the injury with this issue, and they were like, no, keep playing, it's fine. Like, it's not like it's, now he's pretty important if you ask me. Like, this is,
and also he had an injury to that eye as well. It might have been the injury to the same eye that he had in the World Cup, right?
Yeah. Like, so it's like, come on, like, logic here, logic. Like, it's unacceptable. It's the same thing. It's just,
beating a dead horse. Yeah, that's kind of how we are at the moment. And we just fed up of saying it. And the thing is, it's such a simple fix. Get him out. Get a coach in that. Okay, play a simple brand of football. Defend, because the players are there. The players are there to compete for a top 10 spot. We're praying for a top 10 spot at this moment in time. It's not going to happen. Yeah. It is 5,000 to 1 that we're going to get top 10 at the moment, and it's just, I don't know. And again, does he take responsibility for his substitutions? No. And then he's the second goal went in. I wasn't surprised. And then we've took off Justin and put on Perez. So we've got no fullbacks on the pitch. We've got Daniel Amate as our only full. It made no sense. It made no sense but by the end of the game. And he's done it a few times. I think the game that I remember, we're 3-0 down at 3-0 down at top Spurs, I think, during the pandemic. And he's just, George Hurst is getting a start. Ian Nacho get 3 strikers, no wingers. It just made no sense. And by the end of it, yes, it was the last couple of minutes, you're throwing everything on it. Ian Nacho came on, did nothing. I'm not blaming Ian Nacho, but at the same time, you're going, what does he expect to do? What position was he? Because you're taking off Samore. Like, what's there? And then Perez came on, did nothing. Even these players are kind of like, well, what are you sticking me on for? Oh, have a go. Nah, nothing's happening there. So, I don't know. Just waiting for any comments from any other comments at the moment, but anybody else got any thoughts? Because again, I'm kind of done.
I've got nothing else to say. But saying that, I've got a lot to say, so do come over to my channel. Links are in the description.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's an awful plug, but genuinely, I think what sums it up best, Neil, is what we said earlier on before we came on. I should be absolutely fuming now.
Yeah.
But I just feel numb to it.
Mm-hmm.
We have 6 games before the break.
How many points do you think? Do you think we'll genuinely come away with 0?
So, ready for this. We play Crystal Palace. We play Leeds. We play Wolves. We play Man City, Everton, and West Ham.
So we have, yeah.
My confidence in this, I don't think we can even manage to pull a point. Maybe a draw.
Villa, Leeds, Wolves, Man City, Everton, West Ham. Then we are
The only
into the
one that I
international
look
break.
at there that I think will win is Newport, and it wouldn't surprise me if they turned us over. I mean, they've got a record for doing it.
But how bad
Was it
is
Newport? It was Newport, yeah.
But how bad is that? We're talking about another League Two side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a League Two side near the bottom.
Like I don't know about you, but like for me, like the Man City game is at 7:30 in the morning on the 29th on a Saturday.
It's not worth it.
I might just
Stay in bed.
I might just
Stay
watch it because
in
I
bed.
want to see Holland just eviscerate Leicester, because that's what's going to happen. Like, if you thought getting a hat trick was one thing, I'm pretty sure he could get 6 across us. He'll shred that defense apart. Man City will shred us apart. And like I said, my only hope is that we can survive this season. That's it.
We just need to get him gone and get him mid-table, because we can get him. It's just everything is pointing in the same direction, and it's not like we're being. There is a point where you have, yes, it's super emotional, and we've been past that stage. We're like, right, we're trying to look at things logically. We're just fed up of talking about it again and again, where it just doesn't seem to change. Everything seems to, again, the fixtures we have, again, the teams that we're playing against are around our area in terms of bring up the table, and they are teams that are relegation contenders with us. So you're looking at the likes of, we're pacing what we've had. Southampton, Wolves are there, Crystal Palace are there, West Ham are there, Aston Villa's there, Leeds are there. These are all teams around, or not even around us anymore. They're double. Aston Villa's double the amount of points.
You know what's really concerning there, mate? Palace have got 2 games in hand over us. If they win one of those games in hand, there's a real gap going to start to come from there. Because everyone kept going on about as if getting off the bottom of the table was a good thing, which is irrelevant, to be honest. Being 20th or 18th, you get the same prize. You've got it just feels like the standards are on the floor.
Another person saying, David saying, West Coast will rarely wake up. It's not worth it, mate. It genuinely isn't worth it. And I'd hate for me to say that. I hate for me to say, no, you should wake up, and because it's great having certain fun, waking up early. Again, I've kind of done that as well. Staying up, supporting your team, and then you go to no, it's not worth it. It's genuinely not worth it. Especially even the Crystal Palace game. I think it's 12:30 our time.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a 12:30 kickoff. Pretty sure. Yeah, 12:30, so another 7:30. So, yeah.
Right.
Sports is supposed to be good for your mental health. If it's not going to help your mental health, you might as well just not.
No, I'm quite glad I was on holiday for the 6-2. I was thinking modest. I was thinking 3-1. I remember going to bed because it was like midnight or something. It was going to kick off at. I was like, 3-1 would be a good result for us, even though we're losing. Getting some comments. 4:30, yeah, again, so no way, totally. And Diggy's saying 7:30. Chris is saying Rodgers in, which is the best joke he's said in a while, to be honest, because again, it's not even a joke, it's more of an offense to say something like that now. I think he should be jailed for saying something like that. But yeah, there is something at the moment where the teams that we're playing are going to be around us. And the more this keeps happening, the more we're going to fall away. And I think I'm going to try and find the table at the moment, in considering where we are, and conceded 24 goals already this season. I can't zoom that in a little bit more. So we are 9-1, drew 1, lost 7, scored 15, conceded 24. You see, this number is fine. This number is good enough for what? Brentford, 9th position, so like 12th position, but with nobody else. Again, Forest are the only person in the 20s. Nobody else. Oh, and maybe Bournemouth, because they've got
they conceded 9 in one game.
9 in a game.
Bournemouth have
exactly.
12 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like Bournemouth have 12 points. Like, let's be serious here. And then So I just, yeah. It's just one of those things. I can't, I just can't do this. I just can't, like, it's the same thing. It's bad.
We really are. We're saying the same thing, and I apologize. Again, I want to provide good content. I want to provide deep analysis, and you've seen me before on this channel go into detail about how Leicester. I don't want to do it for negative games because it's the same thing. When it's positive, I want to go over and go, we want to chat about KDH. We want to chat about some of these players. Well, Fast did decently, I think, for periods of the game. KDH didn't look on it at all today. Maddison was trying. Barnes didn't. I wasn't convinced at any point that Barnes was really going to do something, which is really surprising.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If you like, subscribe. That'll be great. Thank you so much. And we're going live on your channel, aren't we, after this?
We are. So if you're wanting some more Leicester City positive content, head over there.
Thanks everybody for watching. Really appreciate you. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff. We'll see everybody in the next video. So goodbye.